Hey guys, this is Havana, and I am here with Carrie and Alan of the Kamikaze team, and we are here doing another quarantine chat with Chris Brennaman.
Hey.
Hi, Chris.
Hi. How's everybody doing?
Good. Chris is the co-owner of a comic shop up in Tucker, Georgia called Infinite Realities, and he's also written for a lot of other. He's been a journalist in the comic space for a while as well. He's written for Back Issue Magazine and Comic Book Resources. He has staffed Dragon Con, OmoCon, Heroes Con. A very busy guy. So thank you so much for joining, Chris.
No, thank you so much for having me. I'm just glad I get to see y'all's faces again.
Oh, I miss you and Jamie and Brandon so much. Like I just miss seeing you guys and checking out the shop.
Yeah.
Speaking of
energy,
faces,
live and in person. Do what?
there's something missing here.
Yeah, my wife said my beard was getting too prickly to kiss, so I was like, well, I like kissing more than I like my beard.
That's where this came from. You gave this to me.
No, like you do the math, and I was like, well, I like the way I look with a beard, but man, I like kissing my wife more.
Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah. So how have you and your wife been handling lockdown?
We've been managing. She works for the VA, so
Wow.
yeah, she's a social worker for the VA, so she kept she was doing reporting in sometimes and then sometimes working from home. I straight up had to just tell the partners during the day I'm full-time stay-at-home dad, so
Yeah.
got the 5-year-old and the 2-year-old that I entertain from 5:30 a.m. when the 2-year-old wakes up all the way till about 2, and I get to come to the comic store. So yeah, I'm tired. That's how I'm handling it. We're tired. Like I see people like you talking about all the games they're playing and the shows to binge watching, and I have a little bit of hate in my heart about it.
Oh my God.
I'm like, well, I watched Ninjago again.
Are your kids liking having you home more, or like what's?
The 2-year-old loves it, man. He is just happy his people are there. The 5-year-old, like he and I are tight, but I'm tired of his crap and he's tired of my crap.
Oh.
So, like acknowledging that this is hard for him too. He's not seeing his friends, so just cutting him a wide berth and acknowledging that everybody's a little bit emotionally raw right now, right?
Right. Yeah. My sister's got 2 kids about the same age as yours, Chris, and it's about the same dynamic. Like the 1.5-year-old is just jazzed. There's people all over the place. The 4-year-old coming up on 5-year-old is like, what? Why did kindergarten stop?
Yeah.
What's this Zoom meeting stuff? Welcome, child.
Well, that's the thing. Like intellectually, a lot of kids get what's happening, but emotionally not equipped to process it like we are, and we're barely emotionally equipped to process it.
Like you're emotionally equipped to handle this? I'm not sure I am.
Oh.
I guess emotionally equipped is in like, well, someone in the room has to be.
Right. Yeah. No, someone has to be holding that torch, no matter how much it's burning the hand.
Yeah. So, okay, you're home with the kids, you got the shop. Are you doing anything to keep busy and stay sane during this time?
Yeah, so at the shop, we've only been doing curbside service, and we did some mail order, and then like last 2 weeks we started talking to like Marvel, DC indie creators. Which that snowballed because I didn't expect people to like want to do that, which I guess I'm like my age is showing. Mine is like, it's like, well, if they'll carve time, but yeah, like turned out people like talking about their stuff. So
yeah,
like y'all know that, right? Comics, reminder that comics is communal, and no matter how big comics get, it's still just regular people that are approachable and everybody succeed. What about y'all? I haven't seen y'all. I know that y'all probably talk about this on every episode you do, but you good? You still productive?
Yeah, I mean, we have talked about it in every episode. This is episode too. So,
Okay.
so yes, we have talked about
I
it.
didn't know if we were getting them in the can, and I was going to be like,
no,
I know how podcasts work. Sometimes you do them at a stretch. I didn't know where I was going to fall.
Yeah, it's all right. No, I think we're doing all right. Carrie and I have been keeping really busy because since the last recording, we did a big shift. We have kind of temporarily relocated out of Georgia, and we're up at actually right across the street from my parents in Maine. So a little bit of a drive. That's a rant for a much different time. But there was snow, there was rain, there was
lightning,
wind.
Yeah.
There was a very small hybrid car, our car, packed with the two of us, a Corgi, and enough of our pantry that the springs on it were down to the point where if I went over a speed bump, like the bottom of the car would scrape violently. So we made it up here in one piece. I was amazed. But we've been doing a lot to get settled in here. For anyone who follows me on social media, they know that we were starting a garden in our apartment. So we had to kind of pull up stakes and leave that all in the care of a friend. So we're back to kind of square one. We're like bootstrapping a new garden here. So all sorts of vegetables. Carrie's folks sent us like a PVC pipe hydroponics kit, which I have in the basement. Like it feels like the most clandestine.
We got a weed garden, y'all.
It seems like you're not only playing Animal Crossing, but you're playing Animal Crossing IRL.
Right, yeah.
Nice.
We found a pill bug today.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, as far as like the comic, Chris, like we've actually been trying to take advantage of the fact that unfortunately, of course, we missed the conventions and all that, but we're trying to get ahead of like making like a buffer of comic pages, for example. So we're trying to make the most of it. Of course, it is a bummer not to be able to like visit things as normal, but we're
summertime convention season's prime season for not just indie comic creators, but comic creators. That's when you guys get out there and press the flesh. You can't press flesh anymore.
Right. I mean, I can do this, but that's about as close as I can get.
Yeah. I worry about creators.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I know that you have a very, very like huge emphasis on supporting creators, which is something I always admired about you, especially as a comic book owner.
Y'all are a mainstay. We love y'all.
I wanted to ask you, for those watching who don't know about Infinite Realities, tell us a little bit about the shop and tell us about why you decided to open one up in Tucker, Georgia.
No, y'all have like been privy to everything the entire time. So like if I'm talking out of my rear end, feel free any of you to call me on it. I watch that happen. Happen that way. No, like the comic shop just happened. Perfect confluence of events. Like me, Brandon, and Jamie were in the right place, right time. To all three of us be in a position where we could go into business with each other, but we wanted to make the comic shop that we wanted to shop at when we were growing up.
Mm-hmm.
That was friendly to new readers, that was friendly to people that didn't know their way out of a comic shop. I tell the story like, you could put any of the three of us in any comic shop in America and we're gonna find our way. I mean,
right.
I'll figure it out, but not everybody's like that. So we've decided that we do a lot of hand holding here. We walk you through, okay, you've never read a comic. Where do you start? How do you start? We do a big emphasis on, creator-owned work while we do all the Marvel DC stuff.
Right.
I mean, I'm looking at y'all's book on my shelf right now. We do a lot of creator-owned stuff. We do stuff where with our customers who, the Avengers movie brought you in, but talking to you, I think you might be someone who would enjoy Heathen better, or someone who would enjoy Kamikaze, or you might enjoy, I don't know, this weird indie comic, Pax Romana. That's something. So we're really big on curating, and we're really big on, I don't know, concierge, matching you to the perfect comic for your taste. I mean,
I think
It was
that's
a
something which is sorely
community,
needed.
right? What's that?
I think that's something which is sorely needed right now in the comic book shop world. So I've really been excited by what you guys have accomplished so far. And I have to say, like the last event we did this year, like the last comic event we did was at Infinite Realities. It was like right before lockdown.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. So we like getting behind creators whose work we believe in a lot. And yeah, like when you come in here, you're going to see the stuff. Like if we have it stocked, it's because like, no, we believe there's an audience for this thing. And we believe that the creators behind this do have a unique voice and a unique story to tell. And we will find that audience for people. And you mentioned the event that we had. Oops, I thought I turned the phone off. That event we had, we're event heavy here because we wanted to steal more of the indie bookstore model
Right.
from the comic shop model. We didn't want it to be a head shop for geeks.
Right. Right.
And you know what I mean by say that. I'm not trying to like slag. I mean, I wanted to be more comfortable, more familiar. Like, oh, I've been in a store like this before, even if it's the first comic shop you've ever been in.
Right. Right.
Yeah. I love that. Now, did you learn, what's something that you learned throughout the process of starting the comic book shop that you did not expect to have to learn?
Besides planning for a pandemic.
Right.
Yeah, besides that.
Yeah, so like when you think you're gonna start a comic shop, you're like, oh, cool. I'll get a space and I'll fill it with comics, and you put this budget in mind, and it is crazy how quickly you will blow through the budget that you think is going to handle all of the books that you're going to buy. And so you'll drop this big amount of money and you're like, well, that filled a shelf.
Yeah.
Well, we've experienced that with Kickstarter funds, right?
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. I've heard
that money burns so quick.
Yeah, so it's the exact same thing where the other thing was appreciating that your taste is not everybody's taste.
Right.
And that's something that we consciously decided on the front end, because you can fall into well, I don't like that thing, so no one will like that thing. And no, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So that was a thing. Yeah, the money thing, like how quickly that goes.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And I don't know if y'all probably know this in comics, like margins in comics, razor thin. So
yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't expect the community to be as supportive as they were, as fast as they were. So that was magical.
Yeah.
Now, I have a question. I don't know what sort of device you're on, Chris, but you're not able to give us a quick tour, are you?
No, because the store's a wreck right now.
Oh, no
okay.
problem.
So I don't know if you've seen like the videos we've been putting out the last 2 weeks where like the store is behind me. That is the only stretch of store that's clean. I specifically, I'm not even kidding. I cleaned that one spot to make it look like there's boxes everywhere because we've been doing the mail order. We've got stations set up of just like random product that we processed. I've been going through like the back issue stuff and reorganizing. Y'all, it's a mess. I would love to show you, but it would honestly scare people away.
Oh, you're fine.
Break the illusion.
Again, like I'm here for a reason, but if I turn a little bit, like, yeah, there's a hand truck right there because.
Well, this is a good segue into the next question. How has your store been affected during COVID?
Yeah.
What changes you have to make?
Well, revenue is down. I'm not going to lie about that.
Yeah.
So we immediately went to mail order service, and we immediately, we put a pause on curbside service because we're fans of science here, and we do believe in the importance of the full social distancing. We brought back contactless curbside 2 weeks ago, and that's we just put it in a basket, set it outside, walk away, and then you pick it up. So the community has been super supportive, but we are a browsing business. It does hinge on being able to come in and look over the shelves and look at the new release racks. So that we haven't been able to do that and facilitate that, it's been a monster hit. You compound that with there are issues at the distribution level. So even reordering product has been a challenge. So we're making it. We're okay right now. But we did have to do the calculus this week, where we are going to, in about a week and a half, we're going to do limited in-store again, but it's going to be very strict measures from how many people are allowed in. And yeah, we're going to require masks. I mean, that's going to be a non-negotiable for us. I've got two men in their 60s that I'm in regular contact with, my dad and my father-in-law. Jamie's had autoimmune. So we're not taking this lightly. So that's the challenge. So yeah, to answer your point, like we're fine, but we don't know how much longer we'll be fine if we continue.
Yeah. No, it's a tough situation for all small businesses. So.
Yeah, like I was talking to the Tucker, some folks in here in Tucker, and as I understand, we're going to see a list of businesses soon, our neighbors who aren't going to be reopening, who haven't officially announced it yet, but it's going to come out in the next few weeks, like people that we're friends with, people that we've come to care a great deal for. They're not going to reopen because they can't reopen.
Right. Thanks.
It's rough.
Yeah. But I'm glad that you guys are okay for now. So have people been ordering online? You said mail order?
People have been ordering online. What's funny is I put together a web store was our year 3 plan.
Yeah. Accelerated that.
So that's accelerated. So we are working furiously to have a web store right now. But yeah, so people hit us up on social media. We've had a lot of people call up. Hey, I'm looking for a book for my daughter. Here's some things she likes.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything like that she would enjoy? A lot of stuff like that. And I don't know if y'all know this, we have this policy of if we recommend you something and you don't like it, you bring it back to us, because if we feel passionately. And so we let people know that hey, still stands. If I tell you that your kid will like Aquacorn Cove, and it turns out your kid doesn't, bring it back. Let's find a book that your kid will like.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that.
Number one, no one's ever taken us up on that. But also the understanding that if that book does come back, it's quarantined.
Right.
I want to stress that part.
Yes.
It's not and back to the show with you. You've been in the first
lick it right before we
someone bought some comics in yesterday, a box of comics to sell, and I bought it, but yeah, it's quarantined in the back. I ain't touching it for 10 days.
Good point. So I know that you and Jamie go to a lot of conventions every year. What conventions are you missing this year?
Heroes
What
Con.
conventions do you miss the most? Huh?
Heroes Con in Charlotte is my convention.
Oh, yeah.
Number one, I've been going to that one consistently the longest. I've been going to Dragon Con inconsistently since '97, but I've been going to Heroes Con every year for over a decade now. And there are friends that I only get to see once a year there. One of my very best friends since he left Atlanta. We get to see each other 3 days a year every year. That's it in Charlotte. So this is gonna be the first time in 20 years I don't see this dude this year, and I'm bummed about it.
Yeah. Yeah, that is.
So I'm gonna miss that.
Yeah.
I like the folks who organize it. I'm friendly with them, and yeah, I'm gonna miss that. I'm gonna miss MomoCon a lot, and I'm not just saying that because Jamie would get mad if I didn't. MomoCon is just the chillest convention I've ever been to.
Which is amazing considering its size.
Yeah.
It's still the chillest convention I've ever been to.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's chill for you.
Yeah.
My experience is slightly different than yours. Can I ask you a question? Nothing is chill for you. I have never seen you socially where you're not going a million miles an hour. I have wandered downstairs at Heroes Con at 3 a.m, and you're still And then I'll see you like 5 hours later on the floor, and you're.
That's the sound she makes.
Yeah.
An accurate depiction of me. No,
It's inspiring. Like, as someone who tries to be, social butterfly, I'm like, well, I'm an amateur among a professional I'm around.
well, okay, honestly, like when I'm in a convention, like before a convention, I'm always like nervous or like, oh, I'm kind of tired, but something about like a big convention like MomoCon or Dragon Con, it completely energizes me, and then like all of a sudden I want to do everything.
Like I just imagine you as like a social Goku doing a spirit bomb. Like you're like reaching out to everybody, give me all your energy.
Oh yeah, dude,
Except it's a giant glowing ball. It's a giant like Starbucks cup.
Yes.
And there's like a hip flask down here, and it just like pour something into it. Just give me everything.
And what makes me mad about it is like you never look haggard. Like you never look like you've been up for 3 days.
Yeah.
Like I do it, I'm like, oh, hey, what's going on?
Dragon Con, like when we had a table at Dragon Con a couple years ago. Like there was one time where like I got there and I got the table set up, and Javia's like, I'll be there in like an hour and a half, 2 hours past it, and she like slurped to like, hi.
She's got sunglasses on inside, so she doesn't.
I say this from a place of jealousy. So.
Okay, so you know what's funny, Chris? So like I get super high energy, and my endurance, of course, outlasts everyone. Yes. So throughout the course of a Saturday, I go through like different phases of people I'm hanging out with that day or that night, because like
mining through different levels of stratum.
Yeah. And then like if we go out dancing to like one of the raves or whatever, I always tell my group, like, listen, if you don't tell us that it's time to go, I'm gonna keep us here. So you tell me when you want to stop.
The fact that she mentions goes to raves reminds me that I'm a middle-aged man now. As part of her con experience, that rave appears. I can't keep up with that.
I have been working for MomoCon for years, and I have never stepped foot in that rave.
Yeah.
See, this is how the team stays balanced. Like Havana has like this like infinite supply of energy and like carries like the power sink. Like there's 2 power poles of it, and I vibrate in between the 2 of them, and it's like a dynamo. Like,
let me tell you, like when you get to like know the Kamikaze team, like you're like, okay, I see everybody's role here. And if you remove one part, this whole house comes falling down. Like y'all compliment each, and we always refer to y'all when we do anything with you, like it's Team Kamikaze, and
right,
yeah, in game you've talked about it. It legit is a team, and it's awesome.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, I think our dynamic works.
You guys are Team Infinite. So
Team Infinite.
Not much. I mean, we see each other in passing right now. We're like, yo, I think. Like I'll see Andy in passing in the afternoon. I haven't seen poor Brandon in like 2 months now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's up in Athens. He's, from the store, so.
Yeah. So I want to ask you, one of my favorite things about like what you guys do at the store is like, I love seeing the different displays of the comics on social media. And like you guys respond to a lot of like social, like current events in entertainment, and like you kind of curate like the displays accordingly. What's the process for setting up the displays and choosing what comics go up there?
Yeah, so I spent 5 years working for Best Buy. Like it was supposed to be like a seasonal holiday job, and then 5 years later I left.
How
did this happen?
20 seasons.
It really was like, why? And I swore I'd never go back into retail after that, and then here I am. No, so I hated it at the time, and I thought that it was like hell, but what I didn't realize was that I was like being allowed to have this like multi-million dollar international corporation in retail trained me in how to do merchandising and giving me access to actual retail theory and merchandising theory.
Right.
That's amazing.
And I wasn't aware of it.
Makes more sense now because your store is like, it's fresh.
No, so here's like, when we did this, like, we didn't set it up haphazardly. We actually, like, research went into it. We sought out retail theory and retail philosophy and merchandising. So that was one of the things at Best Buy I really liked. I was given, I was made privy to. I got to sit in on meetings where they talked about, hey, here's what merchandising research says. Hey, and again, I didn't realize at the time that I would ever use it and what have you. But so now it's like, okay, so if we're not going to be a head shop for nerds and we're going to be a real retail store that is familiar and doesn't look like people playing at store, like it actually is a store. Well, one thing you have to have is you have to have displays. You have to have end caps. You have to, if you want to move this product, you have to give people a reason to notice the product. So that was like out the gate. I wanted every piece of display real estate to say something. So you mentioned I've got one that is Tales of Horror, and that one's one of the longest living ones because people, turns out, haven't touched that one in the year and a half because people like the horror comics.
Right.
So it's like, okay, so when I do a horror comic, you can't just throw any horror on there. Like, what is something that's new reader friendly? Right. Like something that's approachable. I don't want something, we're not prudes here. Like, I sell stuff that is mature content, but I don't want, something where you pick it up and it's full frontal page 1. So like for the horror end cap, like I would put something like Alan Moore's Swamp Thing stuff on there. Or, we've done like Brian Hickman's Black Monday Murders. One that has been super popular, I decided that there were a bunch of comics that were just bonkers and they defied genre. So, okay, we'll make an end cap that just says comics that are absolutely bonkers. And that end cap has moved so many books.
Fascinating.
Popular wisdom that even the creators, we've talked to some of the creators, are like, we've never seen our books move like that before.
That's so cool.
But because we gave it real estate, but also said like, no, this is crazy. Like, let's baseline, this comic is insane.
Right. Just embrace it.
Huh?
Just embrace it.
No, and like, so like one of them is one of the ones I put on there is a comic called American Barbarian, and it is this like weird, it's by Tom Scioli, and it's this weird love letter to Thundar the Barbarian about this guy. It's post-apocalyptic America. He's got red, white, and blue hair and a magical sword. There's talking animals, and he fights a giant Egyptian pharaoh with 2 army tanks for feet called Two-Tank Omen.
Oh my God.
So what I'm hearing is just like the active forecast for 2021, right?
Yeah. So basically, yeah, if you want to see what January 1 is going to be like, but yeah, it's like we've done sci-fi stuff. We've put y'all stuff consistently. We have the other end cap that while I'm here will never leave is an end cap called Girls Rule.
Yeah.
Because I need people, I need young girls to know that comics are for them too.
Right.
And I need the parents of young girls to know. And also, as the father of boys, I need my boys to know that it's okay for them to read comics.
Oh, I love that.
Female protagonists.
Yeah.
So, like, that's one. And, like, the Girls Rule end cap is all stuff that's like, this is a strong female protagonist.
Right, yeah.
So. Chris, parent goals.
No. But no, to your point, like, no, we do actual research. We pay attention to our market, but we also stick close to our mission statement of putting new and different things in the hands of people who may not know that they want this new or different thing. So
yeah, definitely. That's great. And I love that you have a background in retail and you really applied that hardcore here. And I love that you're trying to make the space an approachable place for new comic readers, which sometimes those spaces are a little hard to find.
No, I mean, like, we're right across the street from a high school.
Yeah. Okay.
We're within walking distance of a middle school. We have 2 elementary schools nearby. So we have a lot of parents coming in and bringing their kids in, and just need to let the parents know that we're a normal store.
Right.
Yeah.
They can come in, that they're welcome in too.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's one of the things I actually really like about your store as well. It's not only a place that you can get books, but it's a place that you can enjoy and hang out and learn, like discover. And one of the things I love so much about your place is that you hold these workshops that we've done, because I've had some of the most amazing conversations with creators or students, for lack of a better word.
They come to learn from you.
Yeah, so it's just really, really, really cool that you guys have that setup. Like, yeah, I love the comics and I love the store, but my favorite place in your store is like the little couches and in the area where, you know, you can actually teach. And I just think that is so unique to your store, and what makes it amazing is the ability for people to meet people who can tell them how to do the things that they do.
And not to make a dig at other comic book shops, but you have natural light in your house.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's one thing I wish I could show off. But that's like, we have an entire wall that's just a giant window.
Yeah.
Yes, it looks great. I love your store.
Yes.
There's nothing in any comic book store in America that you can't get online for cheaper. Let's be honest, right?
Yeah.
So it's got to be about why you go there, and you guys have really solved that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't have like people who create comics show up on Amazon to talk to you about how they created comics, right? Like, that's not going to happen.
Right. Not until there's a Twitch TV integration into it.
Now, old Jeff Bezos is on his way to being the first trillionaire, so who knows what he's going to do with that money.
Right. Chris, I was wondering, from the perspective of a comic shop owner, what would be some advice to comic book artists about making sure your cover is marketable?
Yeah, so that's a good question. My advice for comic book artists, period, is call comic shops. I'll circle back to an earlier question. One thing that I never expected is the first week we were open, a comic creator for Dark Horse actually called us to pitch his Dark Horse comic to us.
Yeah.
And he was just so cool, so personable, and he had his elevator pitch worked down that, I'll stock your comic.
Right.
So we stocked his comic because he took the time to give us a call and tell us why we should have carried his comic. And I don't know that I would have noticed the comic, to be honest with you.
Right.
In that, because y'all seen that previews catalog. There's thousands and thousands of things that retailers have to pick out. So number one, if you're a creator, get a relationship with any comic store. Just call them, do a cold call. For covers, just whatever makes it stand out, right? For a while, it seemed like there was a very minimalist trend in comic covers where you would have like the black cover with some kind of obscure design on it. And it's cool if you're the only one doing it. But like, I know some image books were doing. Y'all are cool as shit. Oh, I'm sorry. There was like a couple where it's like, I think Jonathan Hickman made this trend where like the cover of the trade or comic would be more graphic design oriented.
Right.
And that's why I was blanking on the name all of a sudden. I think like one of my favorite comics of his, Pax Romana. I hand sell that one, but it doesn't always call attention out to itself because it's a white and blue cover with weird design on it.
Right.
Yeah.
And Pax Romana is actually, I think Harry got me a copy of it because of you and Jamie selling it. And yeah, that's a hard one to sell the concept on. Like,
and the cover doesn't help, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's like, okay, yeah, it's technically sci-fi, but alternate history because of time traveling Catholic soldier warriors. Like, that's a hard concept to sell.
Right. And you combine that, and I think that there was a trend for a while where a lot of indie books were doing that, like where the cover said nothing.
Right.
So I think that young adult titles are doing an amazing job.
Right.
Giving you an idea of what's inside. Like Raina Telgemeier, she's very minimalist, right? Like those covers, like she has like a purple book or a green book, but like the image on the cover sells what's inside. Like I think was it with Smile, it's just a smiley face with braces.
Right.
With Sisters, it's the two. So you can be minimalist, but I see those covers. I'm like, oh, I get an emotional feel for what this book is.
Right.
So yeah, just stand out. We stand out. Do yourself that favor, because even though we're a store that does end caps, space is limited for that, right?
Cool. No,
that was my wordy response to it.
I love it. That's great. So basically, for artists, like establish relationships with the shop owners, research on the covers, make your cover stand out. It's okay to be minimalist, but it does
make it say something. Don't out clever yourself.
Exactly.
But I think honestly, the biggest one is like the covers are great, but ours is a hand selling business. So call comic shops. Tell them why they should buy your books and why your readers would give them money for your books.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Well, Chris, thank you so much. And before, did you want to say something?
No, I was going to put you on the spot. I need to do one of these for our YouTube channel next. So
okay.
Schedule that this week.
We'll pencil you in.
We're scheduling round 2 now, so I'm putting you on the spot. So
yeah. Okay. Well, actually, I'm curious. So before we go, where can we find Infinite Realities online?
Yeah, you can find us on Facebook. We're Infinite Realities Comics on Facebook. Our website, infiniterealitiescomics.com. And then we are on Instagram, Infinite Realities Comics. Yeah.
How do we order books from you?
Yeah. Call us, email us. If you want to order a book from us, the best way is email us, infiniterealitiescomics@gmail.com.
Okay.
We're really, and there's someone right now calling to order a book. So
all right.
Y'all are awesome. And when we get back open, y'all are gonna come. And when we get back open and we're through this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, and you're just dashing, by the way. I've been wanting to tell you that for 40 minutes now.
No.
A what?
Very
dashing.
Nice. Cool. Well, thank you so much. Chris, it's been such a pleasure learning more about the store with you, and stay safe, and we hope to see you.
Good luck.
Awesome. I love you guys. Y'all are the best. Thank you.
All right. See you later. Bye.